So let's pop in some film of Peter Jones. And the first thing you guys are going to see is this is a big physical kid, a really big physical kid. And you said it rightly, Ryan. It's a Harry Heastand type of kid.
Yeah.
You see the finish there. I mean, go ahead, Ryan.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I want people to remember again that this is a sophomore. It's pretty crazy to think of his size. But I mean, even on there, I think there's some really nice technical stuff that he already does.
The pad level here this is a 6'5", 6'6" kid. Look at the pad level because, like, to me, Ryan, sometimes I wonder, is he a bit of a waist bender? Like, I'd like to see him, like, kind of bend to the knees more. But this is the kind of encouraging play because some guys are just not naturally loose in the lower body where they kind of have to be waist benders. But the problem, why is that a concern? Waist benders tend to play high. It's not an issue with Peter Jones. I mean, this pad level here is really good. And watch his hands. I want you all to watch two things throughout this film. Number one, pad level. Number two, he does a great job of getting his hands involved. Now, there's things like placement and get stronger that are important, but he understands the importance of getting his hands and get involved in blocking. So many young kids, Ryan, just hit you in the face hit you with their face and their shoulder pads, and then just move you. Peter doesn't do that often. He understands you got to use your hands.
100%.
Look at that. Getting his hands engaged in the block.
Yeah, he's got some powerful hands, man. You can see there's some points, to your point when we first started, that he'll get inside of you and it looks like it's kind of a stalemate, but then he'll just kind of give a little jolt to the shoulder pads and then just kind of retake that momentum, which is pretty impressive stuff. Because I would argue that there are some reps where I think his lower body and his upper body are a little disjointed.
Right here. So I was waiting on you to get there because that's exactly what this clip is.
Yep. So his upper body gets jolted back a little bit. His legs are under him, but like your upper body and your lower body are not working together here. But the fact of the matter is, look at that little pop in the hands there to finish that one. That had nothing to do with his lower body. That was all upper body on that particular rep.
These are the things that these are the plays like this are really when I start saying, okay, can this kid stay at tackle? It's that lateral quickness in the run game that I got to figure, is this a technical problem or is he just not a really explosive guy out of his stance? And then there's times he shows you a little something. He looks more comfortable on the edge in pass pro than he does necessarily getting to those reaches and things like that. And that's kind of the question I need to see filled out. But
you know what really is nice for him for his age, though, and a couple of those reps where you see them running some outside zone, he has a really good inside hand, man, which is something that some college offensive linemen struggle with. Getting that inside hand
show that
and run.
Let's show that. This is a great example of what you're talking about, Ryan. So talk people through what you're talking about. Because so just so you know, so like you look at this play. Okay, here's what we're talking about. They're running an outside zone play here. It's a stretch play. He's actually blocking this guy right here. He's going to so these two are the tight end and him are supposed to be working together to get this guy with the goal of the tight end being able to either come off here or come off there, depending on what the blocking scheme is. Peter's got to overtake this guy. And that guy's it's almost kind of like he's more in a 7-eye than a 5, Ryan. I mean, he's kind of trying to split that gap a little bit, which means he's further away from Peter than you ideally want him to be. And so that's so I just want to kind of set the stage. So talk people through what you're referring to here.
Yeah. So the inside hand, so it would be his left hand here. You want to be able to seal off this defensive end that is on an outside shade of you. So you want to be able to attack his upfield shoulder and his inside chest to be able to run and to displace that gap. So it's a difficult thing. You'll see a lot of college players struggle with this. You'll see guys take that outside bucket step, be able to get their leverage, but then they kind of lose that leverage because they don't work that inside hand well enough. But you see Peter does a really good job on outside zone, working that inside hands. And I almost think, Brian, for me, I'm curious if this kid is just more worried about the technical side than just being the athlete that I think he might be.
That's kind of where my question is. Yes, you nailed it. Like, is it a technical thing? Is it an athletic thing? That's what I'm still uncertain of. Yeah. But it is a question for me at this point in time. Because then there's other things you see, like, okay, that was some good foot quickness there. Yeah. Pass pro wise, he has to understand what he wants to do, but his footwork is a bit of a like this little like short little hop thing. I mean, it works in high school, but like that's gonna have to change right?
Yeah.
But the point is he keeps his base, his hands are ready to fight. He's sitting on his butt, not leaning forward. He's also not on his heels. You see
Hmm.
right there, like he's on the balls of his feet. He's got a good power stance. His just footwork's got to get cleaned up. So this is the thing Ryan talked about earlier. He's got a very young approach to the game. I mean, there's a lot
Yeah.
of things to work on, but he also has a really good understanding of how to play offensive line for his age. I would say that he's not where you want him to be in regard to Notre Dame player because he's a sophomore in high school in this film, but
Right.
he's pretty advanced for his age. Like this play right here is a perfect example, Ryan. It's like his shoulder pads almost never hit the guy.
Hmm.
You know, it's like it's all hands. You know, he's staying, he's just using his hands and getting his hands and then keeping his butt low and driving. He drives
Yep.
his feet. Occasionally he'll stop his feet on the point of contact, but more often than not, you see him do stuff like this. And that's the thing I really like about him. I mean, this is great movement here. I
Sure
mean,
is.
he just washes this guy down and just opens up that run lane.
Yeah.
And this is a
I
sophomore in high school, dude.
100%. And that's what gives me some hope, Ryan, is that I think that I would guess that this kid takes the coaching really well because he seems a little mechanical at times
Right.
with his movements. And that's where I'm interested to see as he becomes even more and more comfortable in his technique. Is that where the athleticism gets unlocked? Because
Right.
he's a pretty advanced kid for a sophomore, man. Like he takes
Right.
pretty good angles. He's got good hand usage for the most part, keeps a solid low base. There's a
Yeah.
lot to work with from a
I,
technical perspective here.
I want to point out this play because this is actually a bad highlight for him in a lot of ways. And he comes off high, right? Like we're praising his pad level, but again, sophomore, he's going to make plays like this. The pad level, not this play, this is pretty good. The pad level on this next clip is he's high. His feet stop right when he makes contact. Because he's high, that guy gets up into his chest, so he's not using his hands as effectively. There's a lot bad here. A
Mhm.
lot bad here. But what I love is the recovery, right? He sinks in, he's beat off the snap, he sinks in and just drives this kid off the ball.
Right.
That's the strong part of this clip. There's a lot that I don't like about this clip. And this is what I always say, like high school kids, what they think is a highlight is not necessarily what a highlight actually is to a coach. But that's the thing is sometimes it's good to see those plays because
Mhm.
okay, he didn't play well on that snap, but he recovered, he battled, he kept
Did you,
competing. You want to see that.
did you see him fire off the ball in that last clip, man? That was
This
a
is what you
pretty
see more often than not, right?
yeah. That's a pretty nice down block, man.
Let me explain why this is impressive to everybody. He's the tackle right here, okay? This defensive lineman is actually on an inside shade of the guard, correct, Ryan? Like
Mhm.
that is an inside shade. That is a one technique, two eye, however you define it. That is a tight technique.
Yep.
I would contend that Peter beats the guard to that guy. Watch this clip. He he gets to that guy either right before or at the same time as the guard. This guy lines up inside of him. Look at that. He beats the guard to the guy that's lined up inside of the guard. Like
Mhm.
the guard's trying to recover and get a piece of this guy. That's
That's
the stuff that makes me say, okay, that's there's something on Ryan. You said something to me in our text conversation. You said you think that there's some athleticism to be unlocked. There is what your comment was to me, and I
yeah.
think these two clips right here are examples of where okay, I see what Ryan's talking about here.
Yeah, that's explosive out of the stance. And then the other good thing is we keep talking about his technical prowess for his age. It's a great angle, man.
Yeah,
That's an easy block where like if you don't come flat enough, you hit that kid, but he's able to still get upfield penetration, and it kind of messes up the play a little bit. So yeah, I think there's something there. I think there is something there. We'll see how much it develops, but at
yeah.
worst, I mean,
This next pass pro is another example. This is a quicker pass pro than we normally see from him. Like you really see some lateral quickness there that we don't always see. And I
yep.
always feel like if you can do something athletically once or twice, it's in there. You know, you're
Mhm.
not a 4.8 guy that just I'm feeling good today, so I run a 4.4. Right? I
Right.
mean, you know what I mean? Like if you can do it, you can do it. Right? Like I can't dunk some days and not others, depending on what I had for lunch. I can't dunk. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to have a good day and all of a sudden be able to jump 40 inches. You know, that's not how it works. So when you do see it, you're like, okay, it's there, you know, but how does it progress? This is another, you know, working hard to get outside, using those hands, keeping it. He does a nice job too, Ryan, when he's working on zone stuff of keeping his eyes downfield and looking
Yep.
for work. Not and he's feeling what's in front of him, but then looking for what's kind of coming next.
100%.
And it's a talented football player. And again, like advanced feel for what he's doing. You love the foundation that here. I don't know what he's doing here. Like I don't know. It's like he's trying some new pass pro technique, and it's like, nah, it's not working.
That's
Like,
it looks like he's stuck between a 45 and a vertical. He
yeah,
doesn't really know what he wants to
right.
do here, but
But he
yeah.
does a
Yep.
nice job with his hands,
Yep.
and that's the thing. It's his. I don't know. Again, you know what it looks like? It's looked like you ever see a guy cramp up and try to run?
Yep.
Like it looks like he's cramped up and trying to run. It's really ugly. But look at the hands.
Mhm.
If shoots his hands fast, gets good power on the kid. His hand technique needs work, but his
Yeah.
understanding of how important hands are to blocking is really impressive for his
Agree.
age. Really
Agree.
impressive.
And I think that the thing too, Brian, is even if he's just a guard, like guards aren't important, but it's I think that he is a player that the power is easy. So you can see, there's going to be some gap scheme upside, some power football, but then also he has good technique from on an outside zone perspective. So I think this is also a scheme versatile player that can kind of do a little bit of everything in the run game, which is big time.
Yep. Impressive player. We'll just kind of let these next few clips play out and then kind of wrap up a little bit on what's next. And of
He's
course, we'll answer your questions. Anytime we get together, we'll always answer questions. So if you're going to have some questions for us at the end of the show, go ahead and throw them in now.
Mhm.
Otherwise, if you don't have any questions, we'll take the rest of this nice, beautiful Sunday off. Well, actually, it's not actually that beautiful today. It's a little overcast and not feel like it's like New Jersey or something today. It's just not.
New Jersey's actually nice today, man.
Yeah.
It's
So
nice.
you guys stole our sunshine. I don't like it.
Apparently.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I think the one thing too is when he does have to work for spell, a little defensive clip there. When
I
he
didn't
does
see
have to
that one.
work for space, yeah. Um, when he does work in space at times in the run game, he can get a little bit high, but that's
Mhm.
something that can get worked on.
He's very high on defense.
Yeah, he is not a future defensive lineman. This guy's like, this is just not fair. Why am I trying to block this guy? So that, folks, is Peter Jones.